Hello, I'm Full Paragon, and this is your guide to the Darkness Playtime Arena. I mean, the Flame Kraken. Keep darkness away from this at all costs. So, the Kraken is weak to water, which means that you need to have the water trio for this arena, or you will not get top 1k. The waves here are a large group of slimes with relatively low health, so you will want to use Megamin here, as the one weakness of the water trio is they're not good at AoE. The Kraken will inflict poison on your team on turn 2 and turn 4. But you should have Godqua on your team, and she does so much healing that you won't even notice the poison damage most of the time. The Kraken mostly deals magic damage, so if for some reason you're an Uber Whale who has a bunch of flame drop earrings that resist magic damage, you can go ahead and use them here, but for the most part, it won't matter because, again, Godqua does an amazing amount of healing. On the first turn, the Kraken will buff its defense, and will also do so at certain HP thresholds. Deal a ton of damage very quickly, and hopefully you'll be able to skip past one, but you should also be using a slowdown from Chris, so you won't get as many of those buffs and will be able to deal more damage. So, the Water Trio. They're basically the strongest team in Global right now. They cover all of the major buffs as well as all of the major debuffs, and Godqua does an insane amount of lifting as a support, whether we're talking about the amount of healing she does, or the gauge fill, or the cooldown cut, and the list goes on. Erica and Ninja Chris cover her weaknesses perfectly, and together they will ensure that you're able to get a high score. And without them, well, you won't be getting a high score because you just can't compete with them. Now, I know not everyone has the Water Trio, so here are my suggestions for some replacements. If you're a dedicated Atheist and either didn't pull for Godqua for some strange reason, or you just didn't get lucky enough to get her, my suggestions here are that you use either Amelia or Summer Silo for the healing. The boss does put out quite a lot of damage. That poison will chip away at your health, and you're gonna need a healer. Amelia has gauge fill but doesn't have nearly as much healing, while Summer Silo just doesn't have gauge fill or an agility buff, and is a mage so doesn't synergize well with the other members of your team. Leah can kind of work. She has a little bit of recovery as well as damage cut on her ult, but she still just isn't a good one-to-one replacement for Godqua. They are still the best thing out there that you can use after Godqua, but Godqua is the best unit in the game, so good luck. Ninja Chris is a little bit easier to recommend replacement for. She's a resist tread unit, and the natural replacement here should be Idle Kazuma. The problem is that the Kraken resists wind as a fire type unit, so Kazuma is going to deal a lot less damage. Still, he does have snipe, so he can lower the boss's agility, and that resist tread will allow your units to deal a lot more damage. Note that if you're not using Godqua, there's not nearly as much reason to use a resist tread unit, unless you're trying to mage team for some reason, which if you don't have Ninja Chris or Godqua, might be a viable option for you. As far as Summer Erica goes, the tier 3 attack buff she provides along with the tier 2 agility buff is really amazing. The natural placement is Ainumiya, but being off element, Ainumiya won't deal nearly as much damage herself. You can also try Leah. She doesn't have an attack buff, but she does have damage cut and a tier 2 agility buff. Mitsurugi, the summer unit, has an attack buff but no agility, and Welfare Erica can work as she has a tier 1 agility buff and a tier 3 attack buff, but tier 1 agility just isn't as good as tier 2. Some of you may have just gotten Festival Wiz and are itching to try her out. Unfortunately, Wiz just doesn't hold a candle to the Water Trio. If the rest of the mage team was as good at her, maybe they would have a chance, but characters like Academy Union and Amelia are really starting to slow their age. You can try this team. You could try adding in some resist tread, but I don't really know who would you replace here. This team can do okay, but you're not going to hit the top 1k, and you'll be lucky to hit the top 5k without Godqua. Now, the Water Trio. Their one weakness is that lack of AoE, so the question here is, which Megamin do you use? ReZero Megamin is the traditional answer to that question, but Academy Megamin can work as well. Both of them will help AoE down those large number of enemies, then helpfully explode and get out of the way for the Water Trio to do what they do best, which is ridiculous amounts of damage. Again, this team has everything. Erica provides the much needed agility and attack buffs, Chris provides the agility and resist tread debuffs on the boss, while Godqua not only provides a tier 3 defense down, but gauge fill, cooldown cut, and an amazing amount of healing to keep your team alive. As for the last slot, it doesn't matter. I put Iris there, but the reality is you could put OG Kazuma, one of the worst units in the game there, and it shouldn't matter because he'll never come out, as the water trio can keep themselves alive quite handily and DPS the boss the entire time. That's the video. Thanks for watching. I'm going to be traveling over the holidays, so no new streams for a while, but I'll schedule a few video guides to go up in the meantime, so hopefully you enjoy those over the holidays. Spend some time with friends and family, and of course, see you soon in Konosuba Fantastic Days.